Want to shed some light on what my next guest is reporting on for the publication Wired, highlighting how these engineers and these other executives are now taking healthy taxpayer-funded salaries as they are tasked with slash and burn. We're talking about inside DOGE. And according to this report, one of the workers in charge of dismantling USAID is taking home $167,000 annually. A software engineer at the cybersecurity agency known as CISA taking home over $195,000. That's the max a federal employee can make in a year. While a 28-year-old engineer at CISA, who has been interviewing GSA employees, is taking home over $120,000. Now, the average GSA worker, keep in mind, makes just $8,000 more than that after working at the agency for 13 years. Joining us now is senior writer at Wired and the reporter on that piece, Kate Knibbs. Great to have you here. Really, really interesting report you have here. So, of course, Musk has talked a lot about DOGE's transparency. How did you dig into these numbers? Was it transparent?
It was actually quite difficult to find this information, and I hope that they do decide to make all of the salaries transparent in keeping with what they profess they want the agency to be like. Right now, there's still so much that we don't know, but we were able to find out some of the salaries, and it was really interesting because when Elon Musk was first talking about what he thought DOGE would be like, he said that there wouldn't be any compensation. And we do know that some of the more visible DOGE employees that were there from the beginning, like Edward Big Balls Corstein, they aren't drawing a salary from their work at GSA, but now we're finding out that some of the newer members are taking, robust salaries.
And so you're talking about not just people who were rolled into DOGE from like the U.S. Digital Service, but people who've been onboarded since Elon Musk brought in the Department of Government Efficiency to go through all these different agencies. What stood out most to you?
You know, what was really shocking wasn't the numbers. It wasn't like there were people making $500,000 or something, and they could probably be making more in the private sector. But what stood out was the fact that these people are slashing and burning the agencies and sort of doing this very unconventional federal worker behavior. They are not approaching the government as normal, but they're taking sort of traditional government salaries as they, attempt to destroy it.
So Musk has said that these workers could be making millions in the tech world, but they're choosing to give that up. Is that true?
I mean, I'm sure some of them could be, depending on what they wanted to do. We also don't know. This might not be the extent of the money that they are making from these efforts. We just have access to their GSA salaries. They could be drawing salaries from other agencies. There's people like Jeremy Lewin, who's drawing a GSA salary, but we know that he was really instrumental in dismantling USAID. I don't know whether that's the only salary he's drawing. I just don't have access to that information. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this reporting, because I just think that people deserve to know what these new federal employees are making, because most federal salaries are public. It's one of the sort of core tenets that OPM puts forth. If you're a federal employee, unless there's some sort of national security issue, you can look up your salary. It's a public servant's job, and the salary is public.
I mean, you point out in some of your writing that some DOGE team members are designated as special government employees, an advisory role that is limited to a 130-day work period. Those positions can be paid or unpaid. SGEs drawing salaries above a certain grade, though, do have to file financial disclosure forms, but the volunteer workers do not. Do we know if the volunteer workers are being compensated in other ways? And what is the, standard for who's volunteer, who's, going to be getting a salary? How are those decisions being made?
I truly wish I knew all of those details. Elon Musk, for example, is probably the highest profile SGE, and we don't know a lot about what he's being paid from a lot of, business ventures. But we do know, even though he's not drawing a salary from the government, he has a long history of benefiting from government subsidies in his business ventures, stretching back 2 decades. He'd had a loan for Tesla from the government over 20 years ago. There's money changing hands here.
Well, thank you for your reporting. I encourage everybody to read it on Wired. Kate Knibbs, good to have you here. Thanks.